guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Amika again. You guys, honestly, I was about done with Big H, honey. Okay, I was like, I'm done with you, girl. Okay, I've got Chanel, Louis Vuitton videos, Balenciaga, okay, have released this creepy bag that we need to drag to the abyss, honey. However, I couldn't do that because Big H is like, nah. I run Kagem's feed on her page, okay? And there was a massive power play that was done by Big H this week. Now, if you're part of the T, you're in Facebook groups, you follow Big H Instagram pages, there's been some stuff percolating for a few weeks now, but I wanted to wait until Purse Bob confirmed it because I feel like Purse Bob is very accurate with her tea and the things that she posts on her website. So basically, for a few weeks now, there have been rumors percolating that it's one bag a year that's going to be happening. And then Purse Bob updated her page, so I was like, I feel comfortable sharing it with all of you on my YouTube channel. But basically, if you want to read the whole tea, just go on her website and read it. But basically, this is what's happening. Big H are changing the quota bag policy. Before, as of right now, it was 2 bags a year. Now, it's going to be 1 quota bag a year. What is a quota bag? Let's be clear that we all agree what a quota bag is. Worldwide, a quota bag is the Birkin, the Kelly, the Constance. Constance has a little asterisk around it. Let me explain. The Constance technically is not a quota bag in America. However, I was telling some of you in my previous video, we were having a discussion about the Constance. A lot of you were like, the Constance isn't a quota bag. Again, it's not a quota bag. Well, she's starting to look like a quota bag to me, honey, okay, with this new thing. So the Constance is a quota bag worldwide except the US. For now. Let's see what happens in the next few months, because those of you in America, you can update me. But technically in America, it's not a quota bag, but globally it is a quota bag. So I think we're all agreed there. Okay, so we'll say bag. I think to make it easier, because most of you watching my channel, you're all international, the crowd, and broadly speaking, the Constance is a quota bag everywhere except America. So I'm still going to call it a quota bag, and I consider the Constance a quota bag, okay? So that's what we're gonna say. So what they're saying is it's 1 quota bag a year. So 1 Birkin or Kelly or Constance asterisk, depending on where you are. Okay, so what does all of this mean? I've got very detailed notes, okay, because I took this really seriously. Okay, so my first point is, what does this mean? Who does this affect? This affects every single person who shops at Big H except VIPs, VVIPs. Broadly speaking, you need to spend about 100,000 euros or dollars or pounds a year to be a Big H VIP. You only become a Big H VIP, from what I was told, specifically pertaining to Europe, if you're shopping in the other métiers. I believe handbag count in Europe doesn't count, and I know in Australia bags don't count, but in the US bags do count. However, broadly speaking, they will only consider you a VIP if you're spending about 100,000 US dollars or more in the other métiers. Big H calls them métiers, which is a French word, but basically they're categories. So fine jewelry, furniture, equestrian, prêt-à-porter, those types of things, like those categories, which the categories that basically kind of are a symbol of lifestyle. So if you're someone who spends 100,000 a year, but you're buying Twillies, you're buying fashion jewelry, you're not going to be seen the same as someone who's spending 100,000 a year buying their really pricey watches, their really pricey fine jewelry, their extremely expensive furniture, by the way. I was like, what can I buy from Big H that's relevant to me? Because I do have an office, right? I was like, let me buy some furniture for my office. Let me stop you right there, boo-boo. Okay, it's extremely expensive. So I believe that VIPs won't be affected, but I think VIPs who are shopping in the right categories, if you're someone who spends a lot of money, but you're buying fashion jewelry and Twillies, I think you're going to start to see yourself struggling to get the bags that you want. But I think if you're someone who's spending 100,000 a year anyway, you're spending 150,000 a year, 200,000 a year on the other métiers that they care about, you're probably unaffected by this, because they basically know that you're not a reseller. You have to understand that a lot of the resellers who are big spenders. A lot of them are spending a lot of money buying other bags and buying other leather goods. So there are people who are buying, you know, lots of Calvis, they're buying, you know, Bastiers, they're buying like a lot of even the bags that people think are undesirable, like the Cinetic, the Veru, the Gypsy Air. It's actually really clever for them not to count bag spend, basically in figuring out who the VIPs are. Now this kind of depends, because I know if you're a VIP in America, bags do count and spend, but broadly speaking, at least in Europe, from what I've been told, they don't really look at like what bags you're purchasing, i.e. if you're buying like the Picotin, the Evelyn, they're really looking like what métiers are you spending your money in, so those categories that they like. Okay, so in light of this, like how does this affect most of us? So like I said, I still feel like even if you are a VIP though, I still feel like you are going to be required to like maintain your spend, and they're probably going to be wanting you to spend more on lifestyle items. But I think that this basically means that every single person in the world who isn't spending $100,000 a year on homewares, lifestyle items and things like that, you are going to be subjected to one bag a year. I think that there's some caveats though, and I think there's some things that we need to know. I think if you, as of right now, have been promised a bag and your bag is on its way, kind of on Pegasus with wings, I feel like they're probably going to honor those promises that not promises, because you know they never promise a bag, but you know what I'm saying. You know, big H essays have their own language and their own way of talking. They're probably going to honor the sort of hints that they've been giving you. But I think after this, like it's going to be every man and every woman for him or herself, basically, at this point. I think one of the biggest things that will happen once they institute this worldwide global quota of one bag a year is that the non-quota bags are going to be very desirable. So the non-quota bags, meaning the Evelyn, the Picotin, the what else? The Gypsy Air, the 2424, the Cinetic, the Veru, the Mini Rulli. I like the Mini Rulli, by the way. The Rulli itself as well, because there's also the sort of normal size Rulli, the Garden Party. Those bags now are starting to look like what's popping. They're starting to look desirable. So I was thinking about this the other day. The big H bag universe is like a monarchy, okay? You have the king and the queen, the Birkin and the Kelly. You have the heir apparent, which is the Constance. Then you have like the sort of medieval courtiers that have a lot of like clout. So you have like the Evelyn, the Picotin, okay, they have a lot of clout. Then you have these other courtiers who are kind of lurking in the background, okay? The Cinetic, the Veru, the 2424, the Belide, the Garden Party, the Trim bag, the Cabas. Those bags basically are now going to be kind of desirable. A few days ago in the group, I was sharing one of my theories that I have, which is, I believe that all of the big H bags eventually, this is a theory, I can't prove it at all. I believe that all of the big H bags are going to be under some sort of gate quota. They're going to be under some sort of quota fence, where basically there's some sort of spend that's going to be required, even in a non-competitive location, to release those bags. I do think that that's where we're going, and all of these non-quota bags. I mean, the Cinetic and the Veru, to my knowledge, the Gypsy Air as well, you should be, and the Trim bag, you should be able to walk into any big H boutique today and say, hello, I'd like to buy a Cinetic, and they will give it to you without spend. If this one quota bag a year policy becomes into effect, like for the whole world and for all of the big H stores, and if the rumors are true about what's going on in Paris, which I'll tell you in a second, all of these bags will require a level of spend, in my opinion, even the bags that are not desirable. So for example, you have bags like the Mini 2424 and the Mini Belide. Those bags are desirable. Those bags are not easy to get. If you have a Mini 2424, you have a Mini Belide, you're lucky. Those bags are not easy to get, and they're not a guarantee, okay? And of course, you know, the smaller Evelyns and the Picotins as well, like they're very desirable, and people are fighting very, very hard to score those bags, particularly in the colors that everyone wants. So the best way to look at it, as I said, is as a monarchy, okay? You have a monarchs, you have a sovereign, you have an heir apparent, and then you have all of these aristocrats, and all of the undesirable bags, which we always said were undesirable, are all of a sudden aristocrats, honey, okay? The Evelyn and the Picotin are looking like a duke and duchess because they've become very desirable. as more and more people have been trying so hard to score Birkins and Kellys and have been struggling, they have been turning to other bags. And there are some of you who have told me genuinely you do actually like the Evelyn, you do like the Picotin, you do genuinely like how they look. Okay. Now, I was thinking about this when I was reading this. I was like, how does this impact the Constance? Because I feel like the Constance, and maybe this has been their plan all along, is to like create desirability and build desirability for this bag. But I feel like now that the Birkin and the Kelly are 100% one bag a year for the majority of clients worldwide, the Constance's desirability, in my opinion, is going to shoot all the way up. People are going to be doing anything and everything to score Constances in those really hot colors like cray, gold, rose sakura, you know, those types of colors, black of course. I think that the impact that this has on the Constance is it makes it even more desirable. If you don't like the Constance, you're not going to like the Constance. You can't force yourself to like a bag you don't like. However, as someone who didn't like the Constance before, after seeing the Constance in real life, okay, the Constance looking at me like, yeah, I'm that girl right now. The bag is really, really beautiful. I think if you really like Big H and you're one of these people who loves the craftsmanship, if you're open-minded and if you're offered a Constance, it's not a bad idea to take it. Some people will be afraid like, oh, I don't want to take a Constance and then lose out on a chance of getting a Birkin or a Kelly. But at this point, what difference does it make? Because you'll only be getting, you know, one bag a year. Okay, let's talk about Paris. What's going on in Paris? Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to say, I have a bunch of your questions. Some of you answered my Instagram sticker, so I'll be answering those at the end. There were some really good questions. Okay, how does this affect what's going on in Paris? Now, if you recall, last month when I was in Paris myself, I came back and reported back and I told you that there is a Parisian game. I don't want to talk too much because I need to also protect my profile in Paris because I would like to go back there in summer. So I don't want to talk too much and be in trouble. If you want to know my detailed feelings, you can always DM me on my luxury Instagram. I'm happy to chat privately, as long as you're not from a troll account, you know, because you know Big H makes everyone paranoid. But I did tell you guys, I told some of you privately, I told you on my YouTube channel, and I said in the group, there is a Parisian game. Don't trust anyone that tells you there isn't a Parisian game. There is absolutely a Parisian game. It 100% exists. And now that one bag a year is coming, the rumor is, and I think Passport talks about this as well on her website, is that they are going to basically be instituting a system where they can see your spend globally. By doing this, it will create a Parisian game. Okay, how is it going to create a Parisian game? We don't know. Maybe when I go in summer, I can report back and tell you what I've seen. There are lots of theories about what's going on in Paris. Of course, I went at a very competitive time. I remember getting this really I got a passive aggressive comment from someone who watches this channel. I don't think this person is a subscriber, but it was a very passive aggressive comment. And like I tell you, you never have to agree with me. If you don't agree with me, honestly, it's fine. I'm more than happy to listen to your opinion, but it was a very passive aggressive comment, and it was about the situation in Paris. And the person was basically disagreeing with me, saying that they don't believe there's a Paris game. You know, I just didn't get a bag, but they had got all these bags. They were mentioning bags which even ballers like Purse Bob, like, if she got this bag, like, would be like, wow, she's balling hard. Like, they were mentioning bags which are incredibly difficult to get. And they were saying how they were just offered these bags and they were offered them because they connected and built a relationship with their SA. Now, the reason why I don't believe that is because the situation in Paris is not conducive to building a relationship. Unless you're someone who travels to France like every year, maybe twice a year, it's going to be very difficult as a foreigner. If you're a French citizen or you're an expat living in France, of course you can build a connection. I don't call them relationship, I call them connections. But unless you are traveling to France like twice a year, 3 times a year as a tourist, and you go there, it's going to be very hard to maintain like a professional relationship with the Big H SAs in the 3 Parisian stores, just because they meet so many people and there's so many people of different spend thresholds. So when I saw this comment, I understood what the person was trying to say. The person was saying you can't do what everyone else is doing. But what the person didn't understand is they didn't go at the time that I went. They went months and months and months before. The situation in Paris with the Big H boutiques is such that if I went in January at the beginning, anyone's experiences in October are basically obsolete because everything there changes weekly based on the stock that they get, based on the clients that are going to the 3 Parisian stores, based on fashion weeks, based on what's popping in Paris or in France at that time. So if you were successful in scoring, you know, like a mini Kelly or, you know, a Himalayan, if you were lucky enough to get those bags in July, it is almost irrelevant that you got them and you're telling me, and to be honest with you, to be completely blunt, it's almost irrelevant because by the time that I went, things were completely different. It was a battle. I felt like I was Leonidas, okay, in the Battle of Thermopylae, except it's not a battle for life and death, it's a battle for handbags, okay? It was a completely different situation. I came back and I told you guys, there is a Parisian game. I said there is a Parisian game. It's kind of opaque and murky, that some people are made to play the game. Some people walk in, don't have a pound on their profile, and are given, you know, birkin 25, gold on gold. And, you know, some people are playing the game, but also, you know, applying for appointments and then are successful, and then some people are just unsuccessful. There is a Parisian game. I think it's a hybrid game where some clients walk in so that, you know, they score, and then others, you know, are spending and then get an appointment and then score and then whatever. And by spending, I mean spending at least 2,000 euros, 3,000 euros on their profiles, okay? Not like with me, I didn't really spend that much. I think that there is a Parisian game of sorts. I don't want to talk about it in too much detail because I do have a massive theory about the situation in Paris, but I'm not going to talk about it until I score because you know, you have to be careful, particularly because I want to shop there, so I have to be a little bit careful the way I speak, because I feel like Big H requires like silence, you know, like I've told you, it's like The Godfather, okay? It's like Marlon Brando in The Godfather, you know, you got to be kind of careful what you say. But basically what I'm saying is, one of the themes we'll see if this 1 bag a year thing is true is the Paris game that I was hinting to you guys about is really going to come into effect. And I was telling a bunch of you privately that I chat to, a bunch of you who were part of the group, and I did hint to, if you pay attention in my Big H videos, I was hinting that there is a Parisian game of sorts. It does exist. And I'm not saying that to frighten people. There are going to be those of you who are going to go to Paris next week, you're going to walk in, you're going to get a Black Kelly. It's not going to affect you. The people who want to get multiple bags from Big H, this is who it affects. There's some of us who, you know, maybe you'd like to get a shadow Birkin and you'd like to get a mini Kelly. Well, if you want to get a mini Kelly and a shadow Birkin, you get me like, I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's not going to happen with £0 on your profile. It's not going to happen. And, you know, I might edit this out. I might unlist this video if I think I've spoken too much. But to keep it completely gangster, things are changing in Paris. I literally said this and I had people fighting me in the comments, okay? I literally was like, guys, get ready, there's a Parisian game. I do think if you're just like walking in there and you want to buy like a Birkin or a Kelly, like in black or gold or grey, and you just want to buy one and you're happy, I don't feel like that game applies to you. But I think if you want to score the shadow Birkin, the Kelly Pochette, the mini Kelly, you know, Kelly 25, you know, Rose Sakura, or a Birkin 25. I also think actually, by the way, that there is even I even think that the exotics are not as easy as I kind of thought, because I thought, ooh, it might be easy to score an exotic. That's not as easy as you think. I think if you want to buy multiple bags, it's not as easy as it seemed, and even then, it would require some sort of like, it would require you kind of showing some sort of loyalty. I think you get what I'm saying. Okay, so in terms of the Parisian game, like if I go back in summer with Edwin, how does this like affect me? Well, obviously it would mean, if these rules really do happen, it would mean that, you know, hoping to get 2 bags in a sitting probably wouldn't happen unless you're a baller, or unless you're balling in that moment, meaning unless you're buying a bunch of other things, maybe they would be like, okay, fine. Do I think that this is fair? Yeah. Do I think that this is fair? Yes, I do think this is fair, because I think that Big H are aware of this. They have a bunch of clients in the Asian boutiques, the boutiques in the Middle East, the boutique in Russia as well, I believe, is active and is very competitive. You have people who are spending a lot in one part of the world, and then you have some people in you have some people in Mexico who, you know, aren't really spending, and we've seen it before on YouTube, people just walking in, getting bags and not having to spend. And there's some other boutiques where people have said, well, how come I walked into this boutique and I just put my name down and they gave me a bag like the next day and I didn't have to spend money. I think Big H are aware, because of social media, people are sharing this information, people are kind of connecting. People are saying, well, how come just because I live, you know, perhaps someone lives in mainland China or someone lives in Singapore or they live in Abu Dhabi, like why am I having to go 3-to-1, sometimes 4-to-1 to score, you know, a bag in Togo or Clarence, but someone who lives in Mexico or who lives in St. Bart's or someone who lives in a wish list country, they don't have to go like this, they don't have to go the distance the way I do. I think Big H are aware that there are inequities in the way that the Big H game operates on a global scale. I do think that this is going to be correcting that as well. Another thing that I want to talk about is those of you who live in wishlist countries. So those of you who live in the UK, I believe Switzerland is also a wish list. I believe Belgium is also a wish list. I'm very familiar with Switzerland because I've been researching it a lot because my sister lives there. So I just like researching what's going on there. I think if you live in a wishlist country, I think it's going to be tougher for you to score bags, because basically what Big H is saying is that in some countries, people are scoring bags easier than other countries. So in order to, I'm going to talk about resellers in a minute, but in order to make everything fair, they need to have a global system that is fair in every single country, and that is the same in every single country. I think if you're in a wish list country, I think the wish list countries, it's going to require much more spend than has been happening in the past. A lot of you who were in the UK, you've told me, well, how come, you know, I just had to spend 0.5 and I was given a Mini Kelly, or I spent 0.75. I didn't even go to one, I just went 0.75 and I got a Birkin 25 in gold, or I got a Birkin 25 in black. I think that's going to be, I think, to be honest with you, if this thing really does happen the way we think, that's going to make it much harder for people in wishlist countries, and that's going to push up the spend requirements in wishlist countries. And I think wishlist countries will be going 1-to-1, 1.5-to-1, maybe even 2-to-1. So I think if you're in a wishlist country, you should be aware of that I think this change is going to make it harder for you. It's going to seem like it's much harder for you, but on a global scale, it's actually making it equal for you to what someone who's in Shanghai is experiencing, what someone in Singapore is experiencing, or someone in Dubai or San Francisco is experiencing. So basically it makes it equal. Before I answer questions, obviously, you know, most of you are going to be like, this is about resellers, this is about resellers. Yeah, definitely resellers play a huge role in this. I do think that this is more about exclusivity than about resellers, but of course, this definitely is going to hurt resellers. And while Big H want to be super exclusive, this is definitely going to crush a lot of resellers. Not going to get all of them, not the professional ones who've made this their job and who have a lot of connections in France, but this is definitely going to get resellers for sure, because now the resellers who maybe were going in a group of 3 or 4, going to Paris to score, you know, they'll just be getting one bag, and you know, they won't be getting 2 or 3 like maybe before they did. Some of you have told me before, like, you know, you feel like Big H likes resellers because resellers like kind of improve the value, and some of you said that, your essays have said that. Honestly, like, and I hope no one's offended or anything by what I'm about to say, I don't believe that the corporate execs, if an essay thinks that resellers increase the value of the 3 quota bags, that's their right and their opinion, but I don't believe that Big H corporate thinks that. This is a publicly traded company. In France alone, they have 10,000 employees. Like, you can't have a sort of you can't have a relaxed viewpoint of reselling when you have 10,000 employees in your home country, and that you need to make sure every single quarter you're financially delivering and beating earnings like estimates because they're a publicly traded company. I think that's a very relaxed way of viewing it. I think that they do care about resellers. I think that this is definitely going to hurt resellers. There are a lot of you who said that they know who all the big resellers are. I agree. I think they know who all the major resellers are for sure. But I kind of appreciate that they're doing something. Do something, because it is annoying seeing, like, literally those of you who keep up to date with the website. If you keep up to date with the website, you know the stock that's there. I literally saw, I saw a mini Ruly in a neutral color. I forgot which country Big H website it was. And literally 2 days later, it's on Fashion File. That is not cool. Like, that is not cool. There is a genuine Big H client who would have happily purchased that mini Ruly, okay? Who would have happily purchased that, and then resellers are taking it away from them. So while I think that maybe superficially for some people who work at the Stallion, reselling increases the value, I don't really think so. Every single person who's buying resale, Big H is losing money. If you're watching this and you've bought a Birkin or a Kelly, don't think for a second that they don't care. They do. If you bought a Birkin or a Kelly at resale, don't think that they don't care. They do, because they've lost out on your business. Anyone who can afford to spend $30,000 buying a Birkin 30 at resale is a baller. They would love to have you, I'm sure. So I don't agree with that at all. The only thing that I can say is, like, at least they're doing something. Like, do something, because it's just getting out of control, and it's just, it's just way too much. Now for me, like, I'm someone who likes Big H. I shopped at Big H earlier this year, but I'm kind of like an observer because I live on a continent with no boutique. So for me, this is great, because I feel like those of us who live in Africa who like Hermes and you want to shop in Paris, while it's going to be hard, I think it will make it a little bit fairer, because you're not going to be competing against that many people, because definitely traffic in Paris now is going to decrease in terms of reselling. Think about the people who are reselling for fun, who think, okay, I'm going to jump on a plane and go to Paris to score. Well, the gravy train is over now, okay? The gravy train has ended, and those good times are no longer rolling, and you can't just walk in and walk out, with 3 bags, So yeah, now I want to answer some of your questions. I'd love to know, by the way, what you think. Please make sure that you're fully subscribed and you hit notifications and you like this video. Let's start off with the first question, which is from Shop Luxe with Moi. Shop Luxe with Moi, Mia, she says, are we only allowed to get 3 non-quota bags? Great question. This is what I heard about the situation in Paris as well, like unofficially. I can't prove this because obviously I haven't even bought a non-quota bag from there, but I was told that it is like 3 bags a year that are non-quota. But I'm wondering whether will they kind of loosen that. I don't know, but it sounds like that 3 non-quota bag a year thing, I do think that's accurate. I've heard that before. Trisha Bennett asks, is this new system discouraging you from playing the game? I'm out based on this new info. Thank you, Trisha, for your comment. Really, really appreciate this comment and this question. So just to repeat, is this new system discouraging you from playing the game? I'm out based on this new info. This new system isn't discouraging me from playing the game, but it's going to make it so much harder for me to decide what to get. Because once I saw, because I'd heard about it a few weeks ago, but once I saw that Purse Bob posted it on her page, I was like, okay, seems like this thing is really happening. I was like, oh, I'd love to get like a croc Kelly Pochette. I'd love to get an ostrich mini Kelly. I'd love to get a shadow Birkin or a Birkin 13 ostrich or a Kelly 25, in one of the standard leathers. But now you really have to, you can only choose one. And let's say I go with Edwin, right? This summer, Edwin can only get 1 bag. I can only get 1 bag. That's definitely a different vibe and a different feeling if maybe one of us was successful getting 2 and the other got 1. It doesn't discourage me, but it definitely makes it harder for me now to choose, because I really wanted to get an exotic from Big H, and I really wanted to get one of their bags in one of the standard leathers as well. So now I have to choose between purchasing an exotic piece or purchasing a standard leather piece. It's very difficult, because as much as I love the Shadow Birkin and the Birkin 13 Ostrich, I would love to get a Kelly Pochette and Croc. But then if I get a Croc Kelly Pochette, am I like taking away from scoring other things? Yeah. I'm out based on this new info. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. This is going to create a pricing game. And for those of you in your local stores, this is going to make your local stores like even more competitive for sure. Okay, our little Lux Treasures says, are you sure this is awful? Yes, I'm sure. Okay, mate, like when Purse Bob posted it, I was like, it's game over. It's Nintendo, it's game over. Because I didn't want to talk about this until I saw a credible Big H page post it. That's when I knew it was game over. I was like, this is really happening. Caleb says, people acting like it's a big deal when a lot of y'all were getting 0 quota bags per year to begin with. He's laughing. I agree. People are acting like it's a big deal, but yeah, you do really need to be scoring. But I mean, I think people get stressed about Big H just because the whole situation is there's such a big focus on gamification. So every little change or tremor gets people really, freaked out and stressed. Miloholic 79 says, if it's one bag per year, does this mean pre-purchase required will increase too? Yes, I mean, definitely. I think pre-spend will increase. And in my group, which is linked below, you can join if you want, we were discussing this a while ago, because a lot of you are eagle-eyed and a lot of you've got your fingers to the pulse, and we were discussing how one-to-one spend is going to be like a thing of the past, and it's going to be like 1.5 to 1, 2 to 1. I think we are heading into a post one-to-one spending ratio world, meaning 1.5 to 1, 2 to 1. Even in wishlist locations, I think that's where we're heading. Yes, I do think that it's going to be even more. In really competitive locations, I think you're going to be looking at like 2.5 to 1, 3 to 1. I think that's where we're headed. Definitely for bags like the Mini Kelly, those bags are going to be like 3 to 1 minimum, in my opinion. I think that's where we're going. Particularly in those really competitive locations, I think like getting a store off a Mini Kelly is going to require like a lot of pre-spend. Another question from Miloholic 79. This is only for the US market, right? At first I thought that, but now I think that this is going to be a global, worldwide thing. However, I do believe that if you, let's say as of right now you're watching this video and your big HSA has been hinting that you're going to be getting a bag, I feel like they're probably going to honor the people who are due a bag this month and next month and maybe the month after that. But I just feel like once it's summer, I feel like we're going to really see the change. The next question is from Leah Natasha. Obviously doesn't apply to the elite though. I'm new to Lux and came at the wrong time. C and H killing dreams. Listen, Big C and Big H, you guys need to stop, okay? They're like twin sisters, twin brothers, okay? Get me? Like, they're the same, honey. Like, they are literally killing dreams, okay? No, I agree with you. Yeah, it doesn't apply to the elite, the VIPs. However, I think it applies to people. I think that within the VIPs, I think that there are different types of VIPs. I think that people spending 100K a year, I feel like the person spending 100K a year, if that person's in a competitive store where there are people spending 300K a year, the 300K VVIPs will get the second and third bags before that person, if that makes sense. Victoria says, I cannot get even one bag, so I'm fine, haha. Well, hopefully you can get a bag. Okay, please get a bag. Don't give up. Ash at Lux says, thank you, Hermes, for looking out for their customers and annoying resellers. I totally agree with you. Honestly, I'm tired of resellers, okay? If you're someone who resells, please don't be offended. It's just my opinion, but I agree with Ash, Thank you, Big H. It's a brutal decision for genuine clients. It's going to be brutal, particularly in a competitive location. But the reselling has gotten out of control. I know so many of you think that, but think like, oh, they like them. No, I don't think that they do. I don't think that the top dogs in Paris do. A lot of you were always telling me like influencers just, score bags and don't have to spend money. Everyone's going to be spending money now at Big H, in my opinion. You're going to see a decrease in influencer Hermes videos, because if it's one bag a year, the unicorn stories, it's going to be harder to believe those unicorn stories. You know me, baby, I'm always like, where are you? Okay. State your location, longitude, latitude, where is your boutique? We need to know where you are. So I think you're going to see a decrease in that. And maybe Big H want that. Maybe they just want the Birkin and the Kelly not to be so hot anymore, and they just want to manage their current wait lists. Let's see what happens. I would love to know what you think about everything. What do you think about this video? Make sure you like it, you subscribe to my channel. I'd love to hear from you. If you're too shy to write your comment, you can always send me a DM on my new luxury Instagram, it's linked below. It'd be even better if you joined the group. I feel like so many of you have missed out on how fire the group is, and the group is like the group is what Chanel's trying to do, honey. The group is very exclusive, okay? It's full of ballers, full of lots of fun conversations. You can share your scores in there. Some of you might be curious, like, well, what's the point of me joining the group? Let me tell you why you should join the group. You should join the group. You can post your scores. Nothing is too big or too small. Don't be like, I can't post my scores in there, they're gonna look down on me, or maybe my scores are too big. Nothing is too big for this group. Post your jet. Do you have a Gulf Stream? Post it. I want to see it. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video.